The boy suddenly pulled out a toy ring and proposed to a sexy woman in a restaurant, asking her to marry his father. However, Ruth wasn't interested and even mocked young Danny, calling his family poor. But Danny's friend, Ada, thought Danny was cute and wanted to help him bring happiness to his father. Danny said, "My father does very important work." So Ruth agreed to meet his father, even though she already had a boyfriend. Meanwhile, Danny went to find his father, Lucas, to tell him what had just happened, then dragged him over to meet Ruth. However, when Ruth saw that Lucas was just a waiter, she immediately said, "I don't associate with poor people." Lucas, feeling helpless, explained, "My son thinks you look like his late mother." Just then, Ada suddenly said, "I'd like to have a drink with you." Lucas happily replied, "Then let's meet for a drink." Ruth, confused, asked, "He clearly looks like a poor guy," but Ada didn't mind. She just thought Lucas seemed like a good person. At that moment, Jack, dressed in a fancy suit, came over to greet Ruth. Ruth immediately developed an interest in him and was eager to go out with Jack. Ada, on the other hand, went to meet Lucas. They started talking about their ideal types. Ada said, "I hope to find a kind-hearted boyfriend." Lucas replied, "Men like that are rare in real life." Meanwhile, the waiter brought them complimentary drinks. Ada, feeling a bit suspicious, asked, "Your identity is a bit questionable." Lucas calmly explained, "I've been here many times." The two of them were having a pleasant conversation. At the same time, Ruth and Jack were talking about luxury jewelry and famous landmarks. Jack then invited Ruth to go out, and when Ruth saw a fancy car at the entrance, she mistakenly thought it was Jack's. However, it was actually a different car. Lucas and Ada came out together, and it was revealed that Lucas was actually a millionaire. He had been dressed as a waiter simply to manage the business. Jack, on the other hand, was just an ordinary person. Ada told Ruth, "Never let material gain cloud your judgment."